There's something strange about scrolling. You can be tired of it, bored with it, even annoyed by what you're seeing. And somehow, your thumb keeps moving.
You mean when someone says, "I'll scroll for 5 minutes," and 40 minutes disappear?
Exactly. But I don't think the biggest problem is losing 40 minutes.
Then what is it?
What those 40 minutes are teaching your brain to expect.
Okay, that's different.
Because what if constant scrolling isn't just stealing your time? What if it's slowly changing the way you handle boredom, attention, and even silence?
So when someone keeps checking their phone every few minutes,
They may be training their brain to need something new every few seconds.
and that might explain a lot. English learners, welcome back to the English Inside Podcast, your cozy place to learn English through natural conversations. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Daniel. Today we're talking about something almost everyone does: scrolling. But we're not just talking about screen time. We're talking about what endless scrolling may be doing to your attention, and why stopping can feel strangely difficult.
I think that's what makes it frustrating. People often say, just put your phone down.
Which sounds easy, until you actually try it.
Exactly. You put the phone on the table, 10 seconds later, you pick it up again. Not because you received a message, not because you needed anything, you just checked.
And that tiny moment matters, because your brain learns from repetition. If every uncomfortable moment is followed by a quick video, a new picture, or a new piece of information, your brain starts learning something.
That boredom should disappear immediately?
Yes, and that's where the problem begins. Think about waiting for a bus. Years ago, you might look around. Maybe you'd notice people. Maybe you'd think about your day. Maybe you'd simply do nothing. Now, a 2-minute wait can feel unbearable.
I've seen people check their phones while they're waiting for the elevator.
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. The phone doesn't necessarily make the wait shorter. It makes the brain less comfortable with waiting.
So we're not only losing time, we're losing the ability to be comfortable when nothing is happening.
That's one possibility. And there's another problem. Scrolling gives you something new constantly. One video, swipe. Another video, swipe. Something funny, something shocking, something useful. Then something completely meaningless. Your brain never knows exactly what's coming next.
Which makes you want to keep going?
Right, because sometimes the next swipe might be interesting. And that possibility is enough to make you check again.
So the problem isn't that every video is amazing, it's that the next one might be.
Exactly. And that tiny maybe can keep people scrolling much longer than they planned.
Then what happens when they finally put the phone down?
That's where something even more important happens. They have to face normal life again. A quiet room, a difficult task, a book, a conversation, work that requires concentration. And suddenly, normal life feels slow.
Because the brain just came from a stream of constant stimulation.
Yes, and that's why simply saying, "I need more discipline," may not solve everything. You don't only need stronger discipline, you need to rebuild your ability to be bored.
Rebuild boredom?
Think about it. If you never allow yourself to experience 5 minutes of doing nothing, 5 minutes of doing nothing can start feeling uncomfortable. But if you practice it again, your brain can become comfortable with it.
So where would you start?
Not with deleting every app, and not with promising yourself you'll never scroll again. Start much smaller. The next time you reach for your phone automatically, stop for 10 seconds. Don't fight the urge. Just notice it. Ask yourself, what was I about to escape?
Boredom?
Maybe. Stress? Silence? Loneliness? Or simply the feeling that you should be doing something. And that 10-second pause is important, because you're creating a space between the urge and the action.
So instead of the brain saying, "I feel something, grab the phone," there's suddenly another step.
Exactly. I feel something. Let me notice it first.
And that sounds much more realistic than telling people to completely change their lives overnight.
Because the goal isn't to hate your phone. The goal is to stop letting every uncomfortable second automatically belong to it.
I think that's the part people miss. The phone isn't always the enemy. the automatic habit is.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful thing you can do today isn't to throw your phone across the room. It's to take back one small moment, one elevator ride, one bus stop, one quiet morning, 1 minute before bed, and let your brain experience something it may have forgotten. Nothing.
Because when you stop filling every empty moment, you finally get to decide what deserves your attention.
And that is the real goal. Not never scrolling again, not becoming perfect, just becoming the person who can put the phone down and be okay with what happens next.
Maybe that's when you realize you were never supposed to be entertained every second.
You were supposed to be living some of those seconds.
And maybe tonight, when your hand reaches for your phone without thinking, wait 10 seconds. Just 10. You might be surprised by what you notice.
And that's where change begins.
Not when you promise yourself you'll never scroll again, but when you start noticing why you reach for your phone in the first place.
Exactly. Because sometimes the phone isn't really what we're looking for. We're looking for a feeling, a distraction, a little excitement, maybe even a way to avoid thinking about something that's been sitting quietly in the back of our minds.
That makes sense. Someone can have a stressful day at work, come home, sit on the couch, and suddenly spend an hour scrolling. But maybe they weren't looking for videos. Maybe they were looking for a break from their own thoughts.
And that's why simply removing the phone doesn't always solve the problem. If you take away the distraction, the feeling underneath it is still there.
So what should someone do instead?
Sometimes, nothing. And I know that sounds almost too simple. But imagine coming home after a difficult day, and instead of immediately opening an app, you sit down for 5 minutes. No music, no video, no notifications. Just 5 quiet minutes.
For some people, that might feel longer than an hour.
Exactly. And that's why it can be useful. At first, your mind may say, I'm bored. Then, check your phone. Then, come on, just one video.
That sounds very familiar.
But you don't have to obey every thought. You can notice it and let it pass. That's a skill.
So we're actually practicing something deeper than self-control.
We're practicing the ability to experience an urge without immediately acting on it. And that skill doesn't only matter for your phone, it matters everywhere.
How?
Think about studying English. You open a lesson. 5 minutes later, your brain gets uncomfortable. You want to check your phone. If you've trained yourself to escape every uncomfortable moment, you'll probably leave the lesson. But if you've practiced staying with discomfort, you might continue.
So the ability to stay focused isn't built only while you're studying. It's built during all those tiny moments when you choose not to escape.
Exactly. That's why this isn't really a conversation about phones. It's about attention. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you have, and every day, thousands of things are competing for it.
Which means if you don't decide where your attention goes, something else will decide for you.
Yes. And the scary part is that you may not notice it happening. You sit down to watch one video, then another, then another. Suddenly, an hour is gone. And nothing dramatic happened. No alarm, no warning, just hundreds of tiny decisions.
That's probably why it feels so harmless.
Exactly. Losing an hour doesn't feel like losing an hour. It feels like losing a few seconds. Again and again and again.
Then maybe the first step isn't asking, how much time did I waste today?
Maybe it's asking, how often did I give my attention away without choosing to?
That's a much harder question.
And probably a much more useful one. Because you don't need to become someone who never uses social media. You don't need to feel guilty every time you watch a video. You just need to notice the difference between, I chose this, and I somehow ended up here.
I like that. Because there are moments when you genuinely want to watch something. You choose it. You enjoy it. Then you close the app. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. The problem begins when you wanted to stop, but somehow kept going.
And that's the moment to pay attention to.
Yes, not with shame, with curiosity. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" try, "What am I looking for right now?"
Maybe the answer will be, I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or I don't want to start this difficult task.
And once you know the real reason, you can choose a better response. If you're tired, rest. If you're stressed, take a walk. If you're avoiding something difficult, make the first step ridiculously small. And if you simply want entertainment, choose it consciously.
So the goal isn't to make life phone-free. It's to make our choices more conscious.
Exactly. Because imagine reaching the end of the day and knowing, I spent my attention on things I actually cared about. That's very different from wondering, where did the day go?
And maybe that's why those 10 seconds matter so much.
Yes, 10 seconds doesn't sound powerful, but 10 seconds can interrupt an automatic habit. And once you create that pause, you have a choice.
Scroll or stop. Watch or walk away. Escape or sit with the feeling for a moment.
And every time you make that choice consciously, you're teaching your brain something new.
That not every feeling needs an immediate distraction.
Exactly. Boredom doesn't need to be fixed. Silence doesn't need to be filled. And every empty moment doesn't need a screen.
Because sometimes an empty moment isn't empty at all. It's where you think, where you notice things, where an idea appears, where you finally hear yourself.
And maybe that's what endless scrolling takes from us. Not just minutes, but some of the quiet moments where life actually happens.
So tonight, don't try to become a completely different person. Just try one thing. When your hand reaches for your phone automatically, pause. 10 seconds. Notice what you're feeling. Then decide.
Not because your phone is bad, not because scrolling makes you a bad person, but because your attention belongs to you.
And you should know where you're giving it.
Remember the question we started with? Why do we keep scrolling, even when we're no longer enjoying it? Maybe the answer isn't simply because we like our phones. Maybe sometimes we've trained ourselves to escape every quiet moment.
And the good news is, anything you've practiced, you can practice differently.
One pause, one choice, one quiet moment at a time.
And maybe the next time you put your phone down, don't immediately replace the silence. Just stay there for a moment.
You might discover that the silence wasn't the problem. It was the thing you had been avoiding.
Thank you for spending this time with us. And if this conversation made you look at your phone a little differently, take that 10-second pause tonight.
And remember, you don't need to win every battle with your phone. You just need to win the next 10 seconds.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, protect your attention.